Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is Rick Kamla. This is the SportsEthos NBA Show with Rick Kamla. Woo! Let's go. This is a bit of a finish line. I want to tell you this before we dive in. We've been rolling with this show, every week, and we've shifted it from Monday to Tuesday. But this will be the last weekly edition. 2 weeks from now, we'll be back on with the SportsEthos NBA Show with Rick Kamla to kind of wrap up the summer league and any free agent news. And we'll always be on call for an emergency broadcast if something happens, if Jonas is traded or if LeBron is traded, right? We'll come up and we'll have episodes. We're not just leaving you hanging throughout the rest of the summer, but we're going to scale back a little bit and probably do an every other week thing, or that kind of thing. But just know that that next week we will not have this show. 2 weeks from now, on Tuesday, we will be back with the SportsEthos NBA Show with Rick Kamla. And we appreciate all you guys watching and listening and retweeting this on your timeline. So let's start with some breaking news here, and then we'll get into Cam's Core 4. Paolo Banchero got paid by the Orlando Magic. So now they've paid Suggs, they've paid Wagner. That Bane is under contract for a long time, and now Paolo Banchero is paid. 5-year maximum rookie extension. Could be worth up to $287. And that, I believe, would be if he makes All NBA, which I would project him to make this upcoming season. I haven't done that yet, but I have a hard time believing I wouldn't have Paolo Banchero as one of my third team forwards, right, on my pre-season All NBA team. So he may get all the way up to 287 right there. I think it's 239 over 5 before the potential escalator, but nevertheless, fully maxed out. Right where we all thought that he would be at this point when they drafted him first overall out of Duke. I love Paolo Banchero at Duke. When he was at Duke, I compared him to LeBron James and Carmelo Anthony. Okay, those were the vibrations I got off Paulo. Not as athletic as LeBron, don't get me wrong, and I never said that. Kind of more of a grounded player like Carmelo, but 6'10", 250, looks like LeBron body-wise, right? And so anyway, I love Paolo Banchero. Good for him. Got a mountain of money, man. So did Devin Booker. Devin Booker, 2 years, $150 million extension with the Phoenix Suns. He's under contract the next 5 years for $300 million, $313 million or something like that. I saw on Twitter. It's insane. But the Paulo thing is no brainer. The Devin Booker thing, I really like because, first of all, let's just chew on this for a minute. I believe Booker, the next 3 years is at, the current rate for Booker. This is 2 years and 150. That's $75 million a year. Have we stopped to just kind of consider and admire that? I've never seen a guy in the NBA make $75 million a year before. I've never seen that. It's insane. So what it tells you is the marriage between the Suns and Booker is in great shape. He wants to be there. Durant traded, pardon me. Bradley Beal's going to get bought out here at some point, right? Devin Booker, and I don't want out. I love it down here. Guys, one of my best friends lives down in Phoenix. I've been down there a lot. Phoenix, Tempe, Scottsdale. I love it down there. Love it down there. I'm in Florida. I don't want to leave. I'm real good here in Florida. My other favorite state's Colorado. Phoenix is knocking on the door of that. I love Phoenix, man. You're it's so hot in Phoenix. Boo freaking who, man? I spent 30 damn years in Minnesota freezing my ass off, bro. I want to sweat. I don't want change of seasons. No, give me tropical weather, bro. That's all I want right now. So I like the change of, knock yourself out with minus 20, bro. Knock yourself out with your change of season and scraping your windshield at 6:30 a.m. What a massive buzzkill that is, especially if you might be a little hungover. That never happened to me, though. But Devin Booker here, it speaks to how healthy the marriage is between the team and Devin Booker. And today, where stars ask out all the time, I think that's cool. It makes me feel better about him for fantasy. Okay? So I love Devin Booker going into this year for fantasy. He's a first-round pick for me. And like last year, he might have been like at least a 3rd round pick, probably a 2nd round pick, but like somewhere in, definitely not a 1st round pick. And I'm not saying he should be the 5th pick, but he might be like the 10th or 12th pick. Okay. Devin Booker is going to be a 1st round pick this year. I think he's going to approach 28, 29. Can he get to 30 PPG? And he'll be between 6 and 8 assists because he's their point guard in Phoenix right now. So I love that whole thing. It's a feel good. It really is. All right. Now to a move that kind of matters here. James Wiseman has gone to the Indiana Pacers on a 1-year deal. I believe, guys, like I've kind of given up on the James Wiseman thing. I mean, I kind of have. Like Steve Kerr ruined him. And so that's my truth. That I want, like the All the Smoke podcast, which I freaking love. Barnes, Jack, you guys want me on? I could tell some TV stories. I love your podcast, man. I'll cost a little bit. We can hang out too. Like what? I would love to come on your podcast, man. I would love James Wiseman. And by the way, when Vernon Maxwell's on their podcast and every other word is, an F-bomb or some kind of, I love it. It's so awesome. Vernon Maxwell is as hardcore as any player has ever been in the NBA, and I am so here for it, man. You guys are doing a great job. Keep up the great work. Steve Kerr ruined James Wiseman. I would love for him to go on a show like that and get asked, did Steve Kerr ruin your career? Just point blank, and see what he said. He'll probably say no, but he might say yes. That's why you ask questions, right? I've been in sports media, feels like my whole life, right? That's why you ask questions. And I tell young people, don't ask the stupid question that gets the whole room laughing at you. Don't do that. But also don't be afraid to ask a question that might not be well received or that others may not like. So you're like, what do you mean by that? There's a fine line with everything. And it's all nuanced. You don't want to ask just a stupid, dumb question that gets the whole room laughing at you. You don't want to do that. But don't be afraid to ask maybe a hard question, okay? Like that one I just said to James Wiseman. Don't be afraid because and I'm not saying, like, I'm not a reporter out here like trying to go viral with I have questions because I have mysteries about this league and this sport. It's not, I can't wait to go viral with the response after this question. And a lot of reporters do that. It's called baiting. I wouldn't do that. I used to ask some relatively spicy questions. And sometimes the player would and he'd glare up at me and he would give an answer. Okay. I never asked a question where the whole room laughed at me. Okay. So there's that fine line, but it's a piece of advice that I give to young people trying to do this broadcasting thing. Don't muzzle yourself. Don't do it. And take some risks. Okay. But they have to be calculated risks. Don't have the whole room laughing at you. It's not going to go well for you, bro. But James Wiseman goes to Indiana. You have Tony Bradley. He's been picked up. You obviously bring in Jay Huff. And you have Isaiah Jackson lingering out here as a restricted free agent. They picked up the qualifying option on him. He's jammed up right now, like all of these restricted free agents, because the teams are like, dude, I don't have to pay you. I don't. You're mine. I picked up the qualifying offer on you. You can play the season on that number if you want. You want more money? Go find more money elsewhere. Guess what? There is no more money elsewhere. There's not. The only team with space is Brooklyn, okay? The second apron is ruining the NBA. I've said this a million times. I mean, you got $10 million a year players making $3 million a year. It's insane, dude. It's insane. So Wiseman is an Indiana Pacer, and I don't expect him to spike and do really anything. I don't. He's going to have to grab me by the shirt collar and get me back. He's anesthetized me. And again, it's Steve Kerr's fault. Jay Huff is going to be your starting center for the Indiana Pacers. And I'm going to steal a take from later in the show. The Indiana Pacers, since we're on it right now, the Indiana Pacers are going to be better than you think next year. I did some critical evaluation. The dust is basically settled on free agency, right? With some guys lingering out there. But we kind of know now what these teams are going to look like. And I did some critical roster evaluation last night. I'm going to share that with you later on in the show. Kyle Lowry is back with the Philadelphia 76ers on a one-year deal. Kyle Lowry is now an OG, and I love this. Okay, like Udonis Haslem was, like Juwan Howard was, like Corey Joseph will be this year for Orlando. Trying to think of some other OGs around the league. Taj Gibson, James Johnson up in Indiana, right? Those are OGs. They don't play, they practice, and they're great teammates. They practice hard. They help coaching. They just help. Okay, and they rarely play. They're great guys. They have good resumes, and Kyle Lowry's probably a Hall of Famer, probably, but he's going to be in an OG spot for Philly. I've got him on my depth chart at third string right now for Philadelphia, behind McCain, who would obviously be behind Tyrese Maxey. Now, based on McCain coming off of an injury, and look, Nick Nurse is the coach. Nick Nurse won a chip with Kyle Lowry in Toronto. There's obviously a lot of loyalty and love there, okay? That's why Kyle Lowry's got this spot. But I just don't see Kyle Lowry starting for this team. And if he does, I'll be very surprised. But I've got him as a third unit guy. He's in the OG spot. By the way, Philly's third unit's pretty damn good. Their third unit is Drummond, Trendon Watford, Jabari Walker, Ricky Council, and Kyle Lowry. That's a pretty freaking good third unit, dude. Their second unit is Adem Bona, Justin Edwards, Eric Gordon, VJ Edgecombe, and Jared McCain. Like, that's solid little kind of a mishmash. It's solid. I'm okay with that. Your starting five obviously is Embiid, Oubre, George, Grimes, presumably, and Tyrese Maxey. I got to give Philly credit. I don't love their roster. I'm not super high on them, but god dang it, they're deep, dude. They are. They got layers. So Daryl Morey, I give you credit for that. And look, if Embiid and George theoretically can stay healthy, they could be top four in the East. They could be a contender, okay? But, you're asking the impossible. Paul George and Joel Embiid to stay healthy, both of them in the same year? You're asking the impossible. It's not going to happen. And the Bucks did agree to a contract buyout with Vasi Micic and Andre Lemouche, BITB. He was all over that shit. I was on here talking about Milwaukee and Micic because they made the trade. And I was like, Micic might be a thing now. And Andre's like, I think they're going to buy him out. And I think he's going over to Europe. And I am not going to challenge Mr. International Basketball, Andre Lemouche, on anything. So at that point, I was like, all right. Looks like Micic is getting bought out. And in fact, that happened. I joke with Andre that he hits me with Dre bombs, and he hit me back with some humility because that's his way. But we may have seen the last of Vasi Micic, okay? Little cup of coffee, little cameo here in the NBA, and he's probably going to go back. By the way, correct me if I'm wrong, Andre. He was EuroLeague MVP the year before he first came to the NBA, which was like 3 years ago or something like that. Hot shot over in Europe, like a hot shot over there. One of the dudes. And here in the NBA, obviously, he's just a guy. It is what it is. So Milwaukee has obviously Kevin Porter Jr., Ryan Rollins. Are they going to get Chris Paul? And then those guys would be bench players. I still feel like the Bucks have a move here. I still feel like another move's coming for the Bucks, and there's a lot of veteran point guards that are still available in free agency. Brogdon, Paul, Westbrook. So time for Cam's core four. Number one, I love the trade between the Clippers, Heat, and Jazz. Everyone wins except the Jazz. The Jazz never win. Guys, okay, I'll save the Danny Ainge tape. I got to have a come to Jesus with Danny Ainge, man. I do. I come to Jesus, man. I got to have a come to Jesus with Danny Ainge. All right, but first, why I love this trade. Miami gets Norman Powell. The Clippers get John Collins. Woo! And Utah gets Kevin Love, Kyle Anderson, and a second-round pick. Everyone wins except the Jazz. Okay, Norman Powell to Miami. Miami now is interesting. Like I said, last night I did some critical roster evaluation. Where is that sheet of paper, by the way? I got to grab that. I got some show content that's chilling over here behind my computer screen. All right, we good now. Miami's interesting. Khalil Ware, Bam Adebayo, Andrew Wiggins, Norman Powell, Tyler Hero. Okay. I see you with that. Firepower. You got firepower now. Davion Mitchell, Pell Larson, Jaime Jaquez, Simone Fontecchio, Haywood Highsmith, Nikola Jovic. Got some bench dudes too. Kind of like this, right? Okay, so that's why I love it from Miami. They always go big game hunting. They didn't get a Durant. They're not going to get a Giannis and stuff like that. They might get a Beal, who knows, but I don't think so now. Why would you go get Beal now if you got Norman Powell? That doesn't make sense to me. But Norman Powell is a champion. He's a bucket getter. He's a near all-star. It's a fantastic get. And they gave up nothing to get him. Literally, they gave up nothing to get him. It's like a salary dump. It wasn't a salary dump because Clippers wanted to turn Norman Powell into John Collins. That's the decision they made. Okay. So I like it for Miami. I like it for the Clippers. I positively love it for John Collins. John Collins is going to be a hot shot this year. He's going to be a big-time fantasy basketball player. He's a guy, like last year was like 18 and 9, 1 block, 1 steal, 1.5 threes, like super, super high efficiency. The guy's a stud. Okay. Just because Utah screwed with him, just because Atlanta hated the contract they signed him to, doesn't mean he can't play. None of that is true. The guy can play. The guy, he's not an all-star, okay, but he's like in the tier right below the all-star tier when he gets the minutes, okay, which he will get in LA. They're going to play him 30 minutes a game. That's how I view it. And he's going to play 70 play. John Collins is not a game misser. He missed games in Utah because they shut his ass down because of the takey, shitty Jazz, okay? It's not Collins' fault. The Clippers starting five is Zubac, John Collins, Kawhi Leonard, Chris Dunn, and James Harden. And they may add Bradley Beal. Okay, I like that. Your bench is Brook Lopez, Derek Jones Jr., Nick Batum, and Bogey Bogdanovic. And they don't have a backup point guard yet, but they will. Brogdon is the guy. Clippers, go get Brogdon. Chris Paul is on his high and mighty shit right now. Go get Malcolm Brogdon, dude. Be a perfect backup point guard for you. Now, it's all going to fizzle in the playoffs because you have James Harden. Okay? Sorry, I always have to say that. I'm not going to, get you thinking that I'm bullish on the Clippers. I am in the regular season to a degree. I'm not at all in the playoffs because they have James Harden. And he will run and hide in game 5, 6, and 7. Happens every year, and it's going to happen again in 2026. But on paper, I love what they're doing here. That's all I got for you. On the Clippers, that is. Now, to come to Jesus with me and Danny Ainge. I got to give you an analogy. Do you guys remember a football coach named Bill Belichick? Of course you do. Bill Belichick is widely considered the GOAT of NFL coaches. Not a GOAT, the GOAT. Okay? I'm still a little bit on a George Halas thing, resume-wise, over Bill Belichick. But, okay, Belichick's probably the GOAT. He's the modern-day GOAT for sure. Bill Belichick lost his way. It happens. Players run out of gas. They run out of jumps. They can't play anymore at a high level. They retire. Even the greats. Jordan, Kobe, all of them. There gets to that point, you can't do it anymore. You got to retire. Okay? The same thing for coaches and shot callers. You get to a point where either the game passes you by, you're distracted by other interests, maybe as you ascend in age, stuff is happening with you health-wise. I don't know. But Bill Belichick lost his way. Why do you think New England whacked him? The GOAT of coaching. Why would you whack that guy? You have the greatest NFL coach of the modern era. Why would you whack him? Because he lost his way. Okay? Did Bill Belichick get another job in the NFL, I ask you? Nope. Did not. You know why? Because he lost his way. You know why? +2? Because he was arrogant and still wanted to get a coaching job and also be able to call the shots with player personnel. When the whole league already knew that he had lost his way with the fallout in New England. And he still wanted that. The arrogance of this guy, right? Now he's the head coach of North Carolina. And based on viral videos, it looks like his damn girlfriend is actually the coach of North Carolina and not him. Okay? You can be the GOAT, a GOAT, and lose your way. Danny Ainge. Jerry West is the GOAT of shot calling in NBA history. I will die on that hill. Danny Ainge probably is on the Mount Rushmore of shot calling in NBA history. If not, he's definitely top 10. Danny Ainge is one of the gangster shot callers in NBA history. I love his talent evaluation. He wins almost every trade he makes until now. Danny Ainge has lost his way. Dude, you are just giving away Clarkson, Sexton, John Collins. You've got a crazy evaluation on Markkanen and Kessler. Like, you're now way overvaluing these guys. Danny, you've lost your way, bro. You're not even making good draft picks anymore. Okay, Cody Williams looks like a bust. Taylor Hendricks looks like a bust. Who else? Okay, Collier looks like a decent little pick. All right, Keontae George isn't really working out, dude. He's a bench player. What is that? Okay, Ace Bailey, is he going to work out? I don't know. You drafted him. That makes me feel a way about it, okay? Walter Clayton Jr., well, I don't know. You drafted him. It looks like you hit on Filipowski. I'll give you that. I will. But Danny Ainge, you've lost your way, bro. I don't understand. Here's what I don't understand. Ryan Smith is the owner of the Utah Jazz, okay? We're in a boardroom. It's the meeting where we're setting out the plan for the upcoming season. And Danny Ainge comes into that meeting, all right? And he tells the owner, Ryan Smith, well, we're going to trade him. We're going to trade him. We're going to trade him. We're going to groom young guys. We're going to shut everybody down in February and March, and we're going to go 15-72. Okay, that's the plan for this year. How does Ryan Smith just sit? Yeah, cool, awesome. Let's suck again. Great plan, Danny. Let's suck again. Let's go 20-62 again for like the 5th straight year. How? How is this admissible? How is this reasonable? How is this your plan of attack? To suck every year. And you are not nailing your draft picks. You're not. You have nothing to write home about. What is there to get excited about that roster? Washington has a few guys that you can actually kind of get excited about. Utah doesn't. Utah's roster is shit. It's awful. Danny Ainge is the arc. Danny Ainge came in with a team that was like second in the fucking West. You had Gobert and Mitchell and Ingles and Clark. You had all these guys. You had a crew, dude. You were a contender. Tore it down. Dude, it's post-war rubble. That is the Utah Jazz right now. Danny Ainge has lost his way. Dude, if New Orleans is going to fire the brilliant mad scientist David Griffin, how the F does Danny Ainge still have a job? How? How? Resume? I mean, Danny Ainge is Danny Ainge. Like, overall, respect, bro. But right now, dude, I've told you a million times, I'm critical of those I love. I love Danny Ainge. I do. He was a gangster player, one of the feistiest winners I've ever seen on the court. He was a pro baseball player. The guy's a stud, and he's lost his way. Dude, you're going to go 10-72 this year with that shit team. 10-72 for a once proud franchise, a once proud fan base. And by the way, it's the only show in town. Maybe they have a soccer team up there. I don't damn know. I know they have college football. They love their college football up there. And they got the Utah fucking Jazz, who are going to go 10-72. Well, that was Rick's rant before Rick's rant. Danny Ainge, do better, bro. Or get out, retire, bro. Let Justin Zanuck take over. I promise you Justin Zanuck has better damn ideas than Danny Ainge. Yeah, let's continue to tear it down and go 10-72. That's the plan. Who are you tanking for, bro? Who are you tanking for this year? You didn't get Wemby. You didn't get Flag. I think it's time for you to turn the corner and go for it and say F the draft. And I love that the NBA did not give Utah Cooper Flag. I love that. Fucking love that. Dallas didn't tank last year. They had every right and every reason to tank, and they didn't, okay? They got Flag. Utah had every reason to kind of sort of go for it and not tank, but they tanked, and they didn't get Flag. It's not a coincidence, bro. It is not a coincidence. All right, let's move on here. I'm fired up, man. Fired up. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the show. It's the SportsEthos NBA Show with Rick Kamla. Y'all know over the years I'm intense and passionate. Let's get it, okay? Number 2 in my core 4. The Wizards stealing Cam Whitmore. is arguably my favorite move of the summer. Jordan Clarkson to the Knicks is right up there with my favorite move of the summer. Cam Whitmore, my boy, going to Washington, the land of opportunity, for 2 second-round picks. Okay, value-wise, like Clarkson to New York for 1 year, 3.6 is ridiculous. Ridiculous. The Wizards getting Cam Whitmore for 2 seconds is ridiculous. This guy was a first-round pick. He had a top 5 grade on him until, like, personality and character concerns dropped him in the draft. Like, just GMs and owners hating. This is how I look at it. Oh, he's different. Oh, he's not great in interviews. Not everybody's a showboat. Not everybody's extroverted like your boy Cam, okay? With I mean, I've been talking my whole life, right? Some people aren't like that. They're a man of few words, and they don't really talk a lot, and they're introverts, and that's okay. But we're going to shame that and drop you. It's bullshit. It happens in the NFL all the time. From time to time, it happens in the NBA. Can he play? Does he have a rock star body? Does he have rock star explosiveness? Does he have the it factor? Yes, 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 yes. Well, then why are we dropping him in the draft? Anyway, going to Washington. Let's predict Washington's starting 5. And I have a hard-hitting question on the Wizards here. Content's what I bring to you. Your starting 5 is Alex Sarr, Bilal Coulibaly, Chris Middleton, CJ McCollum, and Bub Carrington. Interesting, right? I don't know how that's going to work, but I kind of like it. I'm kind of psyched to watch Washington this year on League Pass. See what they got going on. Okay, your second unit is Kelly Olynyk. I like it. Keyshawn George. I love it. Corey Kispert. I like it. Cam Whitmore. I love it. And Marcus Smart. I like it. That's a good second 5, bro. That's 10 deep. All right. You also have Rashawn Holmes, Justin Champagnie, and the rookie Trey Johnson, 6th overall pick, and A.J. Johnson, a first-round pick last year. That's your third unit. That is an interesting roster, folks. Do I expect big things? No. All I said was interesting. Was last year's Washington Wizards roster interesting? It was not. How good can the Wizards be this season? So I want to tease the next episode. 2 weeks from now, 2 Tuesdays from now, I'll be back with the SportsEthos NBA Show with Rick Kamla. And I will give you at that time my conference stacking 1 through 15 in the East and in the West. I have a hot take for you right now, though, as a tease. The Washington Wizards right now are my 10th seed in the East, making them in the play-in tournament. If they decide to trade McCollum, trade Middleton, trade Smart, and trade Olynyk, all expiring contracts, right? If they make the decision, all right, we're trading all those guys, we're going young, we're tanking, then all bets are off, okay? I'm giving you my roster construction evaluation versus the rest of the East right now. It's an on-paper research project. That's all it is. If they decide to go in a different way as a team, then that is what it is. But right now they're at 10, okay? And I'm not going to tell you the teams they're above and below because it's a teaser. I'm going to give you the rest 2 weeks from now. But they're 10 for me right now. I have Washington in the play-in tournament right now. I feel like that's a big statement. It's not a hot take. It's born of evaluation. And what clickbait am I getting for the SportsEthos NBA Show with Rick Kamla by saying that the Washington Wizards are going to be the 10 seed and in the play-in tournament? That's not clickbait. Only hardcore NBA heads care about that, and people in the district, okay? Okay, I guess I do have another hot take for you. And it's another teaser for 2 weeks from now. Just one more. The Boston Celtics will not be in the play-in tournament. Oh! Your boy Cam just told you. I'm perfectly sober. It's 11:32 a.m., okay? I'm telling you that Washington will be in the play-in tournament. Boston will not. I'm telling you that. Boston's going to tank this year, guys. They're going to tank. They're going to half-ass it, and they're going to tank. They're going to shut Brown down. They're going to shut White down. Dude, do you know that Kada and George Niang right now are starters for the Boston Celtics. Did you know that? Did you know? Oh, they're Boston. They'll figure out a way. They'll be. No, they are intentionally trying to suck this year. It's obvious. Goodbye, Porzingis. Goodbye, Drew Holiday. That's your indication right there. Hello, white flag. We're tanking. You heard it here. I don't know if other people are saying this. What is Boston cobbling together? They're not cobbling together anything. They're preparing for a hurricane. They're boarding up their windows. They're putting sandbags all around the house. They're prepared for a long, hard winter in Boston, okay? And they want to go 20-62. I fucking promise you they want to go 20-62. They're making moves that indicate that. They're going nowhere without Jason Tatum and Porzingis and Drew Holiday, okay? Jaylen Brown and Derek White are phenomenal players. They're not good enough to get this ragtag group of Celtics to win. They're not, okay? Rumors are they want to, send Anthony Simons out or buy him out or some damn thing. Like, he's not really – what I'm hearing is he's not really going to be a big part of the plan. Okay, so then Peyton Pritchard's your starting point guard? Give me a break, dude. 20-62. Boston will not be in the play-in tournament next year. You heard it here first. Tell everybody where you heard it. Your boy Kam. The very clean, salient state of mind. So let's move on here. I want to tell you about our app. It is free. SportsEthos app. It's amazing. Go to your favorite app store and download it. Do it now. We'd appreciate that. We got you covered for the NBA, the NFL, and Major League Baseball over there. We have the fantasy basketball tools that you need. Our app is your ultimate edge, so don't miss out. All right, number 3 in my core 4 is off-season winners. And I'm going to go through this a little bit. I've got it kind of, I don't know if I have time to go into every depth chart for all these teams. So I'm going to kind of try to do it rapid fire style, right? I have 8 primary off-season winners, like big winners, in my opinion. Minnesota. And I know they lost NAW, but you kept Julius Randle and Naz Reid at team-friendly deals. Huge win for the Wolves. You're still in the championship fast lane. You had a chance to fall out of the championship fast lane, and that did not happen. You're going to backfill NAW's time with young fellas, Shannon Jr. and Dillingham, and I think they're going to be okay with that. The Dallas Mavericks. You obviously you won the Cooper Flag sweepstakes. You're big winners for that. You get Kyrie Irving back, okay? And I know that he may not play this year, but you got Kyrie Irving back, and you might not have. And I wanted them to do that. And a talent like that, you got to keep. And you go get D'Angelo Russell, 2 years, $13 million. He'll be probably the starting point guard most of the year. It sounds like Kyrie Irving may not play next year. And so, you re-signed Daniel Gafford. So it's a positive offseason for Dallas, but getting Cooper Flag slides them into the big winner category. The Los Angeles Clippers, to me, are also big winners this offseason. We talked about it a little bit, so I won't belabor it. But we talked about Collins. Harden gets re-signed. Obviously, and it's kind of sleepy, but getting Brook Lopez to back up Zubac is just a huge move, man. I don't know if there's a better first and second string, two-pack of centers, but it's hard because there's Jokic, and if it's Jokic and Valanciunas, I'd rather have them than Zubac and Lopez. But you get the point. That's an elite center structure you have right there. And you bring back Batum. I like the Clippers off season. They, to me, are in the big winner category. The Houston Rockets. You get Durant. You still have all these young dudes. You re-sign Jabari Smith. You bring back Fred VanVleet. Culture's still intact, right? I believe this offseason or at the end of the year, you re-signed Ime Udoka on a long extension. I can't remember. Too much news in my head. Everything is pointing up for Houston. Every single thing is pointing up for Houston, okay? They have a much better chance of going to the West Finals with Kevin Durant. They just do. They just do. And it sucks. They had to trade Jalen Green and Dylan Brooks. I see the vision now. I do. I see the vision. They're going for it, man. I always side with going for it. Like Utah. I just went on a 10-minute tirade about Danny Ainge for the exact opposite of going for it. I do like going for it. So Houston's a big winner to me. By the way, the Kevin Durant sweepstakes were the biggest sweepstakes of the entire summer. and they won that sweepstakes. Okay, that's a big deal. The Orlando Magic, the Paolo Banchero thing is what it is. That's just money and paperwork, right, for us out here. But you acquired Desmond Bane. Hello. And you got Tyus Jones to back up Suggs. That's a banner offseason for the Orlando Magic. Absolute big winners this offseason. And they're pretty close to the top of the heap here, actually. The New York Knicks, to me, and it's like nip and tuck moves, right? The Jordan Clarkson move doesn't look like a huge move, right? Oh, it bought out by Utah, veteran minimum contract. What he's going to bring to the Garden magnifies well beyond that. Obviously, we've talked about it. It's one of my favorite moves of the summer. I love getting Yabusele as well to play at least a forward spot. He can play a little backup five if you need him to. So now New York has a bench. And I've told you, every episode, the New York Knicks are winning the East next year. They're going to the NBA Finals. The Milwaukee Bucks are big winners. Giannis hasn't asked out. Okay. The Dame thing looks weird. I'm not sure I would have done it. It did sound like things were getting weird, like personally between the two sides, and like a divorce kind of had to happen. So that stuff has been bubbling up. So maybe they had to do this. His unhappiness there. There was a report from Chris Haynes that Dame wanted to leave the team to rehab his Achilles and be with his family and his kids and everything. And there were people with the Bucks organization that didn't want him to do that, and they wanted him to stay in Milwaukee. Okay, so it was getting edgy and dicey, right? A divorce probably needed to happen there, and so they stretched him. But what I like about Milwaukee in their offseason is they are still championship contenders with what they have created out of the wreckage of the Damian Lillard thing. Okay, they are. They're going for it. They're not losing Giannis. They brought back Bobby Portis. You brought in Miles Turner. Okay, Giannis is still there. You bring in some of the bench guys from last year on veteran minimum contracts. You've actually got a couple of good point guards. You're not great at that position, but with Rollins and Porter, you should be able to make it work. All right. I probably project them to be top 4 in the East. All right. So they're winners to me, because it was looking like they were going to go, boo, like sink to the bottom. Giannis acts out, all this kind of stuff. None of that's happening. Milwaukee's a big winner this offseason. The LA Lakers, for the Ayton thing. The Ayton sweepstakes was one of the bigger sweepstakes of this offseason. The Lakers won it. They missed on Mark Williams. You really, really needed a center. You got your center without having to trade Dalton Connect, who JJ Redick hates, but okay, you still have that asset. So yes, that makes the LA Lakers a big winner. They got a solid center. I don't love DeAndre Ayton. Matter of fact, he's in my doghouse, but he has a double-double every year. Okay, and that's exactly what the Lakers need, and they really don't need a whole lot beyond that. I mean, a little rim protection would be nice, DA. If you can comply with that plan, probably not. I'm not getting my hopes up. The sort of next layer of winners is Denver, Atlanta, Miami, Phoenix, and Washington. Like, they made roster improvements. Maybe it wasn't as dramatic and bold as the teams above. Denver brings in Cam Johnson for Michael Porter Jr. I like it. Valanciunas presumably will be their backup center. Tim Hardaway Jr., Bruce Brown. It's a good offseason, right? It's a winning offseason. Atlanta bringing in Nickeil Alexander-Walker is a really good move for them. Atlanta's got a bench now. Atlanta also traded for Porzingis. Right now it looks good on paper. Will it come to fruition at State Farm Arena? We shall see. You got Luke Kennard, okay? One of the best shooters in the NBA. He's coming off your bench. Asa Newell, draft steal, 6'11", 220 athlete out of Georgia, 23 in the draft, right? It's a great offseason for the Atlanta Hawks. Not great. I'm going to take – it's a very, very good offseason for the Atlanta Hawks, but because I don't have them, in this top group. Miami, we already talked about this a little bit. The Norman Powell trade gets them in this cluster right here. Phoenix, you got Jalen Green for Kevin Durant. You got Dylan Brooks, a culture setter for Kevin Durant. You traded for Mark Williams. All right, you did well in the draft. You got my guy, Common Maluach. He's your third string center, okay? Phoenix has rallied pretty well from the Kevin Durant thing. So they're like moderate winners to me. And then Washington, the Cam Whitmore thing alone. But some of the other moves that they have made, I like it, okay? They're moderate winners. And then I have 4 other teams that I thought had positive off seasons. Philadelphia, Cleveland, Detroit, and San Antonio. San Antonio getting the deuce, right, and getting Dylan Harper. That's why they're there. Detroit getting Karis LeVert and Duncan Robinson. I really like those moves off their bench. And, Cleveland getting I got to go to the depth chart. I can't think of their moves off the top of my head. You get Lonzo Ball to make up the Garland ground when he's out. You overpaid Sam Merrill, but okay, he's a fantastic shooter. I do like the Larry Nance acquisition as your backup center. And then we kind of went into Philadelphia's roster. They made a million moves, as Daryl Morey always does. And so those are my winners. And there's a lot of them to varying degrees. Like I said, 3 layers, but that's 17 offseason winners. I perceive right now, based on roster evaluation, that 17 teams got better to varying degrees. That's pretty cool. Okay. I have 7 offseason losers. That's 24 teams. That leaves 6 teams that I like. Where's the compass? And the compass was just kind of flat. Like the New Orleans Pelicans. I'm looking at them last night. Are they a winner or a loser? I'm like, I just don't care. I hate this roster. But they're not losers, but they're not winners. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. They're New Orleans. They're just going to suck. They always suck. Their team's going to be destroyed by a rash of injuries every year. I'm telling you, like, it's contagious. And Zion brought that to him, man. It's Zion's fault. Guy never plays, man. Off-season losers. The Brooklyn Nets. The Utah Jazz that we already talked about. The question is, which of those teams is going to be worse? Because those are the 2 worst teams in the NBA, Utah and Brooklyn. Dude, I'm looking at Brooklyn's team right now. It's fucking Utah. Easily. Brooklyn's got a better roster than Utah. Not by a ton. But they have Cam Thomas. You have Michael Porter Jr. You have Nick Claxton. That's better than what Utah's got. It is. Yeah, about that much. Because you do have Kessler, who I like. Markkanen's a good player. So you do have those guys there. And from there, it gets weird with like young guys that they want to play and groom, right? Yeah, I give the nod to Brooklyn barely. Utah's the worst roster in the NBA. So those are huge offseason losers. They're in tank mode. They're going to go 10-72. The Boston Celtics. We already talked about it. Now, like I saw this thing. In 10 days, the Boston Celtics saved $280 million, with the moves they made and the trades of Drew Holiday and Porzingis and all this kind of stuff. And they're like, they're the biggest winner of the offseason because they got rid of all this money and their books are solvent again. And I'm like, well, that's one way to look at it. They're going to go 20-62, 2 years after winning a championship. So cool. They're the biggest winner of the offseason. Okay. In your fucked up world, that's true, but not over here in reality. I mean, I just saw that on Twitter. I thought that was crazy. The biggest offseason winner is Boston for tanking? Okay, whatever you say. But they're offseason losers. They're going to be terrible. And it's by design. It's their plan. But still, I'm over here looking at you like, dude, you're going from 60 wins to 20. You're an offseason loser. Chicago. What are you doing? What is your plan? Dude, Utah, their plan sucks, but they got a plan, right? What is Chicago's plan? I just don't know what your plan is, bro. Vucevic, the word is nobody wants him. How does nobody want Nikola Vucevic? That doesn't make any sense to me. There was a report, the buyout market, the trade market, like nobody wants Nikola Vucevic. It's like 1 year and $20 million for Nikola Vucevic. Sign me up for that. It's an expiring contract. He's worth $20 million. I don't get that. Why do they want to trade him? Why don't you extend him? Why don't you try to win? You've got some good players. I like Buzelis. I do. The Patrick Williams trade signing is one of the worst I've ever seen. 5-90 for that? Bust? Are you serious? Again, I call it like I see it, and I'm critical of those I love. I love Arturas Karnisovas. This ain't it, man. This ain't it. It's mistake after mistake. It is. This roster sucks. It's a mishmash. It's super guard heavy, right? You got Trey Jones is your third string point guard. He's a backup point. Like, you're deep at guard. I get it. Good for you. You got Herter and Io and all these guys. the Okoro trade made no sense to me. Why did you take on that money and help Cleveland out, bro? You helped Cleveland out with that trade. What are you doing? You're losers, man. Like, what are you doing? Just treading water. Why haven't you signed Giddey yet? Why? He's easily your best player. Now you're pissing him off too. You have no plan. Memphis. Why did you trade Desmond Bane, you dumbasses? What are you doing? What are you doing? Trade John Morant for the love of God. Start there. I do like the Ty Jerome get, but overall, Trade away Desmond Bane, dude. You got Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. That makes you an off-season loser, bro. Horrible move. Golden State, as the late great Ted Knight said in Caddyshack, well, we're waiting. Make a move. Gosh dang it, make a move. Dude, I do depth charts, right? Big on my depth charts. Okay. Red is a move, a signing, a trade to your team. It's a move. Green is a rookie. There's no red, none on Golden State. I think they're the only team in the NBA right now that has no red on my depth charts. Green under contract, Butler, Moody, Podziemski, Curry, Quentin Post, Trace Jackson Davis, something named Reese Beekman. It says UDFA here. He might not even be on the roster anymore. You got these rookies, Alex Tui, Will Richard, and Jamal Mashak. I don't know jack shit about any of these guys. They all were drafted in the 50s. Like, your offseason sucks. It's awful. Kuminga's jammed up. Gary Payton II still a free agent. DeAnthony Melton's still a free agent. What are we doing here? It's your boy. Oh, Steve Kerr is so amazing. Steve Kerr is so amazing. He's so amazing. Guy's overrated, man. Guy's overrated. Starting to fall into the Belichick and Danny Ainge category of losing his way. I'm serious. This ain't it. I mean, make a move. Like, make a move. Like, what is this? They have not made one move. You're an off-season loser, okay? In Indiana, I mean, you lost Miles Turner. I'm sorry. On some bull crap, by the way. I got some Kevin Pritchard sound I'm going to play for you in a minute. Halliburton was just announced he's not going to play the upcoming season. I mean, it's not going well. This offseason is not going well, but I do have good news for the Indiana crew around the corner here. And it's coming up right here, actually. I do want to tell you, before we get into my Kammy of the week, if you guys would like to support us, please leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. And give us a written review if you have a little bit of time. It helps us grow and reach more people. Obviously, it is the SportsEthos NBA Show with Rick Kamla podcast feed. Please subscribe to that on our YouTube channel and Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that kind of stuff. Please subscribe and follow our work. We really, really appreciate it. Now, Kammy of the week is Kevin Pritchard of the Indiana Pacers. He is their shot caller. All right. And he now is going to get into the why and the how of how the Pacers lost Miles Turner. It's about a 2-minute soundbite. Andre Lemouche, hit it.
I don't want to get into the specifics of Miles because the truth is he gave 10 great years here. I loved having him be here. I hope I'm friends with him for a long time. I know this, that Herb Simon and Stephen Rails and the Simon family were fully prepared to go deep into the tax to keep him. And we really wanted to do that. And we were negotiating in good faith. But what happens in this league is sometimes you're negotiating, but because a guy is unrestricted, he has the right to say, that's the offer I want, I'm going to take it, and that's best for my family. And again, we were in good faith negotiations. It was a little surprising that, how Milwaukee created that. I don't know if, we always say in our conference room, there's cap teams that have cap space, and there's shadow teams that have cap space. You can go get, but it becomes very challenging by buying out or making trades, and hat tip to Milwaukee to do that. So I think the most important thing is we were deep in conversations with Miles, and then And then we saw that that he'd accepted an offer with Milwaukee. And again, that's part of this business that is challenging. I can tell you this also, that there are two kind of things that I believe that is kind of fundamental to the league right now, and that is change is inevitable and expect the unexpected. And I can't tell you that, we were fully expected for that.
2 minutes of brilliance from the great Kevin Pritchard. That's as classy as it gets. And he's as classy as it gets. There wasn't bitter there. There was disappointment in there. Maybe a little bit of hurt in there, but not bitter. No cobra, no lashing out. Measured, controlled, professional, classy. Kevin Pritchard, you the man. Kevin Pritchard could have sunk people's battleships in that soundbite right there. And that would have rang pretty well as well. It sounds like, guys, Miles Turner bailed on the Pacers because of the Halliburton injury, as opposed to the Pacers bailing on Turner because of the Halliburton injury. And that was a speculative report that Indiana no longer wanted to go, into the tax and all this kind of stuff to get Miles Turner and keep him because of the upcoming punt year with Tyrese Halliburton out. Based on what Kevin Pritchard said, that is not the case. And I like that because it speaks to the Simon family wanting to go for it, and they weren't allowed the opportunity to do that by really a traitor in Miles Turner. If people in Indiana want to call Miles Turner a traitor, you can. That title fits. Based on what Kevin Pritchard said, and there are GMs, coaches, players who lie in the public. And Antonio Daniels, who I worked with at SiriusXM NBA Radio, came up with a great phrase. He said, people in the NBA have the license to lie, which means they're going to shield you from the truth by telling you something else, or not telling you the whole story, or bringing up something else to take your attention off of what we really want to know. These little games, but it's a license to lie. Or they can just come out and say, like, for example, are you shopping Julius Randle? Nope, we're not shopping Julius Randle. Haven't taken a single phone call or made a single phone call on Julius Randle. When, in fact, as soon as that press conference is done, the dude is going to his cell phone to make a call about Julius Randle. Okay, that shit happens all the time. Everybody knows that. That's the license to lie, though, where you say something to hide the truth. It's not like a politician lying to you about war plans or anything like that. But it's a lie. It's maybe a low grade lie, but it's a lie. And so that leaves guys like me who've been doing this a long time. You got to read between the lines of this stuff. All right. But Miles Turner he's a traitor. He did not go from Indiana to the Lakers. He went from Indiana to the enemy, the Milwaukee Bucks, in division. You're going to play them 4 times a year. Okay. This is a rivalry. They don't like each other at all. And you just went to the other side. I know one guy in particular is very, very pissed off about this. His name is James Johnson, and he is the most hardcore OG that nobody wants to F with in the entire NBA. And I promise you that Miles Turner does not want any of that smoke. And I'm not saying James Johnson is going to beat him up because he's a traitor and he left Indiana, okay? But I've said what I need to say. Kevin said that they were deep in conversations with Miles Turner, which meant they were close, okay? He said, we saw that he accepted their offer. Probably saw it on damn TV or social media. Wow, Miles Turner just signed with the Bucks. Are you freaking kidding me, right? And I'm sure they were all pissed off and threw some stuff around the office. I mean, he didn't even give us a chance to beat the offer. Are you serious right now? So the fact that Miles Turner didn't allow the Pacers to counteroffer, based on what Kevin Pritchard said, makes me feel a way about Miles Turner. It does. I'll get over it. I'll mess with him in fantasy next year. Overall, I like Miles Turner, but this is some bull crap right here. I don't like this. He wanted to make more than Naz Reid, okay? Naz Reid is at $25 million a year. Indiana was going to pay him more than that. He got $4 and $107 from Milwaukee, all right? That's just over $25 million a year. Just over what Naz Reid made. Based on what Kevin Pritchard said, It sounds like that they were willing to go at least $25 million a year to keep Miles Turner. But Miles Turner didn't want to go back to work for Indiana in a year without Tyrese Halliburton. That's how it smacks to me. I need Miles Turner to go on a podcast and reveal his truth about why he freaking left Indiana and a team that was in Game 7 of the NBA Finals for the Milwaukee Bucks, the hated enemy, for about the same money based on what Kevin Pritchard is saying. I need to know the truth. You know what? Paul George on his podcast last year did a phenomenal job of explaining his departure from the LA Clippers and the offer, and Kawhi got it first, and Lawrence Frank didn't want to do this, and it was dope, dude. He took us right into the boardroom, and I was like, we talked about it on NBA radio. I was like, this is phenomenal podcast sound. And I'm not a huge Paul George guy because of the playoff failures, and he's hurt all the time, but his podcast is pretty freaking awesome. And he's already a media star. When his career's over, I mean, rocket ship attached to back. He's going to be one of the top analysts in the game if that's what he wants. He's a very, very well-spoken dude, very smart dude, okay? I like Paul George. I just don't like the playoff inconsistency and all the missed games. So I'm a little conflicted on him. All right, here's the good news with Indiana, okay? And again, I'm going to give you a little teaser for my 2 week from now show, the SportsEthos NBA Show with Rick Kamla. 2 weeks from now, we are doing many things, but I will stack the conferences 1 through 15. All right, I'll give you one more thing here. Indiana is 6th in the East for me right now, 6th. All right, and I know a lot of you were going to do this, and you're going to have Indiana at 10th and 9th and all this kind of stuff. You got to remember something about Indiana. They lost Tyrese Halliburton the whole year, not going to play. You lost Miles Turner, okay? This was the second deepest team in the NBA last year. That's how and why they won the East and went to 7 against OKC. Their depth, TJ McConnell, Ben Mathurin, Obi Toppin, all of those guys are still there. All right. So your Indiana Pacers right now, your starting 5 is Jay Huff, and I think Jay Huff's going to have a nice year for Indiana. It's not Miles Turner, but he's Miles Turner-ish, Miles Turner light. Okay. Your backup centers do nothing for me. James Wiseman and Tony Bradley. Not a damn thing. Okay. That's a problem, but not a big one. You got Siakam, you got Obi Toppin, you got Aaron Nesmith, you got Jarris Walker, who's going to finally play this year. You got Ben Mathurin, you got Ben Shepherd, you got Andrew Nebhard, you got TJ McConnell. Dude, you're still 8 deep, okay, at power forward, small forward, shooting guard, and point guard. You're 8 deep and talented, all right? And something tells me that they may kick Siakam up to the 5 and go small and maybe start an Obi Toppin at the 4. Ooh. I like that, right? And now Walker's playing more as a bench player. Jay Huff is a bench player. There's probably a better spot for him. You have optionality. You have an incredibly deep team. And Indiana is not going to suck. They're not going to win the East next year, okay? The Knicks are. But Indiana's not going to suck. They're going to be in the playoffs next year without Tyrese Halliburton, okay? So it's not all lost. It's not. There you go. All right, what else do we want to do here? I guess I got to get into a little Rick's rant. Kind of running short on time here. Let's do a little Rick's rant, and then I got a couple other things planned here. I'll try to make this as quick as possible, and I knew this was going to happen. It's Rick's rant. This is not going to top the pop-up Rick's rant earlier in the episode where I was freaking out about Danny Ainge. This won't top that. This will be more of like a slow jam. or a ballad, or where that was maybe death metal. Like this may be more like it ain't gonna be yacht rock. I'll tell you that. All right, it ain't gonna be yacht rock around here. I can't stand yacht rock. Sucks. It's so soft. It's so boring. Oh God, yacht rock. It's such a big deal down here in Florida too. You go to the pool, they're playing their yacht rock. Oh my God, I put my headphones in them. Queens of the Stone Age. And sometimes I just rebelliously throw on Slipknot, right? And hope it like leaks out through my earbuds a little bit, and defies their yacht rock a little bit. I'm a rebel that way. Rick's rant. Restricted free agency. I already saw this coming. I think I told you this. The restricted free agents are going to have a bad summer, man, because no one's got cap space. And none of these players or their agents have a drop of leverage. Not even a drop of leverage. There's no tug of war for leverage here. It's 100% with the teams, 0% with the players and agents. No leverage. This CBA, it's ruining the league. It has ruined free agency. They're already talking about that last week. I mean, it was the role player free agency. That's all it was. And you got a lot of guys that should be making more money than they're making veteran minimum. It's just gross. It sucked. It's not as bad as pay in the WNBA, but it sucks. Anthony Slater, great reporter, put out restricted free agency around the NBA remains ice cold with only conversations and little action. You got that right, Anthony. The NBA's new CBA is just absolutely terrible, okay? Jonathan Kuminga is seeking over $30 million a year. Sorry. Bro, reel it in. Reel it in. Dude, Miles Turner didn't get 30. Naz Reid didn't get 30. Daniel Gafford didn't get 30. How in the F do you think you're getting 30? Bro, reel it in. No one's paying Jonathan Kuminga $30 million a year. Whoa, dude. 5 years ago, Jonathan, you're right on point, bro. Right on point. When teams were throwing money around. I mean, just throwing money around. They ain't doing that anymore, bro. They're super careful now. And it's a buzzkill. You ain't getting 30, bro. And if you stick on 30, you're going to be going back to Golden State and playing on the qualifying offer, and you're going to hate your life this upcoming season as a bench player for your boy, Steve Kerr, who has ruined and C-blocked your entire career. Quentin Grimes wants $25 million, according to reports. I'm back. Guys, read the room. Do your agents know anything? What is wrong with these people? Bro, you had a couple of good games. You had a good second half run on a tanking team. Are you serious? Dude, Quentin Grimes making Dennis Schroeder money. I'm not even sure I'm comfortable with that. Dennis Schroeder money is $15 million a year. That dumbass overpay that Sacramento made for Dennis Schroeder. They paid Dennis Schroeder 3 years and $45 million. Horrible. Absolutely fucking horrible. You got Paul Brogdon and Westbrook out there still, and you're paying Schroeder $15 million. Just typical dumbassery from Sacramento. Unbelievable. Actually, it's totally believable. Quentin Grimes wants $25 million. He wants Naz Reid money. He wants Miles Turner money. Are you out of your effing mind, bro? I saw Patrick Beverly, who I love, called him out on his podcast with Roan. I don't know how you say the guy's name, but the dude he's on there all the time, the Barstool thing. Good, it's really good content. But Pat Bev was saying pretty diplomatically, actually, that Quentin Grimes, like, give it up, dude. Like, come back down to earth, feet on the ground, okay? Like, it's 25. Q Grimes, you ain't playing this upcoming year if you think you're stuck on 25 mil. Bro, you're in the 10 to 15 mil range. That's your price point, dude. Your price point at the 20 to 25 mil range. No way. Cam Thomas, restricted free agent, according to Nets Daily, likely to command a deal as high as $100 million over 4 years to remain with the Nets. $25 million for Cam Thomas? That would be my ceiling, but that's not totally crazy. He's one of the best bucket getters in the NBA. I don't think he's a winner, though. He just doesn't play a winning style of basketball. It's kind of good in fantasy. Again, I think that's crazy. I don't think he's getting that. 3 years and 60, 4 years and 80. I don't know. Maybe he gets 4 and 100. But he's going to have a hard time getting that. Again, no leverage at all. And then Josh Giddey. Reportedly, Josh Giddey wants $30 million a year from the Chicago Bulls. But of course the Bulls are balking at that. They give Patrick fucking Williams 5 years and $90 million. And they can't give Josh Giddey $30 million a year. Maybe they can't give Josh Giddey $30 million a year because they gave Pat Williams 5 and $90, right? But Josh Giddey averaged a triple-double over the last month of the season, okay? And those games mattered. They were playing their guys, Vucevic and White, and they were like playing teams and winning games a little bit, right? They hovered around 500. But those stats weren't empty. That wasn't silly season, like artificially inflated bull crap. It wasn't. It was who Josh Giddey can be as the number one on a team. Okay, this guy was the 6th overall pick, 6'8" rock star point guard coming out of Australia in the draft. Everybody loved Giddey coming out. Everybody saw Giddey doing big things in the NBA. They did. Everybody saw him as a walking triple-double type of guy, right? The assists, the rebounds, the points. We all saw this, and it popped right at the end of last year. And now the Bucks don't want to pay him $30 million a year. And why not? Why not? They can. You know why they don't want to? Because they don't have to. And that sucks, because restricted free agency it's a power control thing by the teams right now. They got the players by the short hairs, and they ain't letting go. Okay, so God bless Giddey, Thomas, Grimes, Kuminga, all of these restricted free agents. God bless y'all. Seriously, I want you to get your money, and good freaking luck with that. Okay, Jonas Valanciunas needs to fire his agent. All right. The whole thing about we're going to Panathinaikos when you don't even understand the FIBA clearance rule, that like you've got to gain clearance from your NBA team to gain FIBA clearance to go over and play overseas. Like, how did you forget that layer, bro? You can't just say F you to an NBA team and then just go play for Panathinaikos. You can't just do that. There's contracts and layers, and FIBA in the NBA have probably a conflict of interest type of little stipulation here where guess who eats first? The NBA. Can tell you right there, the European teams ain't eating over the NBA teams. No. That ain't how that works. Nope. The European teams can try to big boy the NBA teams. That's not going to work. I promise you. So Denver is making Valanciunas, or at least like they're insistent on making him uphold his contract, as I would. They had a chance to back out of the trade. They did not. They went through with the trade to send Sarge to SAC and bring in Jonas to be an awesome backup to Jokic and create probably the best 1-2 package center in the NBA. And Denver's like, we're not messing with that. Screw you, Panathinaikos. And to a degree, screw you, Jonas. We don't care what you want. We want you here. And I'm fine with that. You know why? Because it's about winning. It's about going for it. It's what it's all about. It's what it should be about, Danny. I just don't understand. I presume Jonas Valanciunas has a European agent. I don't know this. I'm not shaming. Europeans are great. No problem with Europeans. But I presume he has a European agent. And if that's true, you would think that a European agent would know fucking rules about FIBA and clearance and how you get out of an NBA contract over to Panathinaikos. You would think maybe a European agent would know that. Okay? Or maybe he's an American agent who's a little clueless about that. I don't know. But Jonas, you need better representation, bro. You do. You can't just bail to Panathinaikos because you just want to bail for Panathinaikos. You're under contract with the NBA, buddy. We want you to subscribe to the Sports Ethos YouTube channel. That'd be great. Sports Ethos YouTube channel. Follow Ethos Fantasy NBA on Twitter and on Blue Sky. Don't forget to drop a thumbs up on this video, and we love you out there. Bradley Beal's sweepstakes. I'm running long here. I'm just going to say this. Well, let me get because there's all this intel. I don't want to read it right now. I'm over it. Bradley Beal. Evan Sider, we put out 5 teams expected to show interest. So let's read this. The Bucks. So he'd be their starting 2, and then you'd have Prince and Trent off the bench. Okay, that makes sense. The Clippers. I guess. You'd move Dunn to the bench. He'd be your backup point guard, which would fill that spot. Beal would be your starting 2 after losing Norman Powell. Okay, that makes sense. The Miami Heat. This one doesn't make sense. It did before the Powell acquisition, but I think now that Powell is on the Heat, it doesn't. I don't like that one. The Lakers. No. You have you already have your starting 5 set with Reeves, Luka, LeBron, Rui, and Ayton. It's a no. And then Denver. Now, I like your roster the way it is if you can keep Jonas. I say no to all 3 of those. Bucks and Clippers makes a little bit of sense. The last thing I want to say about Bradley Beal is it's all for now. It's all for now. Bradley Beal's the most overrated player in the league. He never plays. He's not the same guy he used to. He's not going to go out there and score 30 points. He's a good player right now. He's a good player. He's an above average basketball player in the NBA. That's who Bradley Beal is right now. And on any of these teams, he won't play a role that will get him to do more than that. He's just going to be a third option type of guy on any of these teams. Okay. So he's not going to get back to 20 points a game and, oh my God, Bradley Beal, he's been such a revelation. None of that's going to happen. Okay. We're going to say the same shit about Bradley Beal we always say about him. He's overrated. He's always hurt. He's frustrating as heck. It's just, that's it. He's just, he's a myth. He's a ghost. That's all he is. So people are going to make a big deal out of Brett. That's why he's at the bottom of my show right now. Some might lead, the Bradley Beal sweepstakes. Where is Bradley Beal going to go? Like, it's going to make a big headline. And I'm going to dump on that headline. I'm going to be like, yeah, he's going to Milwaukee to play 35 games a year. That'll be my quote retweet on the Shams bomb that Beal signs with the Bucks. Pour water on that thing. Ooh, we got Bradley Beal for 25 games. It's going to make such a difference. Good luck. Knock yourself out with Bradley Beal for 25 games. It's going to be awesome. Guys, go to SportsEthos.com and subscribe to our work. We really appreciate that. We're the best in the biz. We do football. We do baseball. We do basketball. We do WNBA. We do college football fantasy. We got it all for you. Go to SportsEthos.com and subscribe. And a shout out before we get out here. And this is a little bit of a Rick's rant too. Chris Paul said that the upcoming season will be his last in the NBA. And so, right, love Chris Paul, the body work, the killer, the competitor, top 10 point guard of all time, all this stuff, right? He is insistent on still being a starter. I'm going to break down that Chris Paul is nuts with that. I say that sarcastically, euphemistically. He's not nuts, okay? He's actually really, really smart. I just think he's getting this wrong. Chris Paul insists on being a starter. That's why right now he is not backing up Luka in LA or Harden in LA. Okay. He said he also wants to play in LA, right? For his last year. That's not going to happen, bro, if you want to be a starter. Luka Doncic and James Harden are the starting point guards on the two teams in Los Angeles. You're not going to start over them, but you would be an incredibly valuable bench player behind both of them or either of them. How do you not understand that? You can't have it both ways. You can't live in LA and be a starter. It won't happen. So how do you not vet that and work that out? Okay. Chris Paul needs to give up the starter thing. And then you could stay in LA because I believe the Lakers or Clippers would want Chris Paul, especially the Lakers with the LeBron-Paul friendship thing, if you agreed to be a backup and you were going to be cool in that role all year. I believe he would already be Luka's backup. Okay. So I made a list here. The teams who might need Chris Paul as a starter. It's a small list. It's the Miami Heat, but they really don't anymore. The Norman Powell trade changes that. Powell is in there. Tyler Hero is now your point guard. You have Davion Mitchell behind him. And now your first-round pick, Valanciunas, is a third-string player. You don't even have any room for Chris Paul anymore. And by the way, Terry Rozier's just chilling on the edge of their roster, right? Ready to be bought out or whatever the hell. The Timberwolves. Would the Timberwolves want to upgrade over Mike Conley and go to some Chris Paul? They would not. They're not going to do that, okay? But I'm not crazy about Mike Conley as the starting PG of the Wolves, right? Chris Paul is at a similar footing right now as Mike Conley, but they're not making that move. The New Orleans Pelicans right now with the DeJounte Murray injury have Jeremiah Fears and Jose Alvarado at point guard. Is that enough? Hell no, it's not. Would Chris Paul upgrade that position? Hell yes, he would. Do you think Chris Paul's going to New Orleans and the Pelicans for his final season? That's not happening. And guess what, folks? That's the end of the list of teams that could maybe use Chris Paul as a starter. Wait a minute. I forgot to mention the Bucks. My bad. The Bucks. They seem like they're full now. Kevin Porter Jr., Ryan Rollins. But you could go get Chris Paul and start him. You could. And then you would bring Kevin Porter Jr. off the bench and Ryan Rollins would be your third string point guard. You could rock that way. And that linear point guard flow makes some sense to me. So there's one team right now to me that would make sense for Chris Paul to start. One team, the Milwaukee Bucks. And I would like that move for the Bucks. I would like that move for Chris Paul. But it's a hell of a long way from LA, and the weather's a hell of a lot worse than LA. Okay, so do you want to do that? But I'm just saying, the Bucks are the only team where it makes some sense for Chris Paul to go and be a starter. Now, there are 10 teams that could use Chris Paul off the bench. 10. And you could also, I guess, add Russell Westbrook and Malcolm Brogdon to this list. I think all of these teams could use those guys. The Atlanta Hawks, Kobe Buffkin. Who is he? What does he do? What position? How tall? I know nothing about Kobe Buffkin other than he's hurt all the time. Chris Paul would look good there. The San Antonio Spurs. Oh, but that ship has sailed. Why? Because Chris Paul insists on starting when you have De'Aaron Fox and Stephon Castle. Bye. Okay, so that ain't happening. I would love Russell Westbrook to the Spurs. Andre, I may fire up a jersey if that happened. I already told you if Russ goes to the Wolves, that's an instant jersey buy right there. Instant. But the Spurs, they need a backup point guard. The Phoenix Suns need a backup point guard. Currently, it's Colin Gillespie. He's not that guy. In a league where you have Tyus Jones and TJ McConnell and guys like that and Ty Jerome, come on. Colin Gillespie, shoot up and spit out against those guys. Stop it. So, Phoenix, the Clippers, the Lakers, already mentioned them, right? These are teams that could use a backup veteran point guard like Brogdon, Paul, or Westbrook. There's 10 of them. The Minnesota Timberwolves, right now their backup point guard's Rob Dillingham. Probably could use a little more insulation at that position. Golden State Warriors do not have a second or third string point guard right now. All they've got is Steph Curry. Chris Paul, would he go back? Probably not. But Brogdon would look good in a Warrior uniform. The Detroit Pistons. Marcus Sasser's their backup point guard. J.B. Bickerstaff showed us last year. He don't really like Marcus Sasser. He doesn't. They could probably use a Chris Paul, a Russell Westbrook, or a Malcolm Brogdon behind Cade Cunningham. The Cleveland Cavaliers, okay? With Darius Garland expected to miss the start of the season, your backup point guard right now is Craig Porter Jr., okay? Is that enough? Probably could use a little upgrade there. In Toronto's backup point guard is Jamal Shed. And, you know, I don't see any of these American players in the twilight of their careers wanting to go to Toronto, okay, on a team that's probably not a playoff team, but nevertheless, they could use, in my opinion, a backup point guard. And so that's it. Here's a little memo. And I'm a big fan of Chris Paul, okay? He's going to do great things after he's done playing. But Chris Paul's ego, to me, is getting in the way of the ring here. And this is a big, big part of his narrative, all right? Like, some guys get held more to the fire for not having a ring than others. I feel Chris Paul gets a little bit off the hook in this regard. Ring culture does not sink their teeth into Chris Paul like they do a James Harden or even a Karl Malone, right? Some of the greats that never won a ring, a Patrick Ewing, guys like this, right? Chris Paul feels like he gets a little bit of a pass. I don't think that's right. Chris Paul has had some playoff failures. He's gotten hurt at just miserable times during playoffs. It's not his fault, but it's part of his legacy. And he's had a lot of opportunities, and he's never been able to win it. You got to hold Paul to the same standards as these other guys. I don't bang on players that don't have rings. I don't bang on them. But it is a separator when I do my all-time rankings. For example, Chris Paul. A lot of people have Chris Paul in their Mount Rushmore of point guards. You're all wrong. How can you have Chris Paul in your Mount Rushmore of point guards when he does not have a ring? You can't, okay? Magic Johnson, Steph Curry, Isaiah Thomas, Oscar Robertson. That's my Mount Rushmore of point guards. How do you get in there without a ring? And obviously, Oscar, Isaiah, Steph, and Magic, their stats are incredible. Chris Paul's stats are incredible. They have a ring, and he doesn't. See what I mean? Power forward. Number 1 is Tim Duncan. Number 2 is Kevin Garnett. Number 3 is Dirk Nowitzki. Number 4 is Karl Malone. Number 5 is Charles Barkley. It's a very unpopular ranking by me. Because how can you have Barkley not in your Mount Rushmore of power forwards? Class? Well, you're stuck on that? Because he didn't win a ring. How how can you not have Karl Malone as number 2 behind Tim Duncan? Because he didn't win a ring. Kevin Garnett did. Dirk Nowitzki did. Kevin Garnett's stats are unbelievable, just like Karl's. Dirk Nowitzki's stats are unbelievable, just like Karl's. They have a ring, bro, and you don't. I'm just saying, it's not a bang on him situation, but it's a separator. All right? It's got to mean something, right? You can't. I got a buddy. He's a statistician marvel. He's great in business and marketing, and he was a big-time music exec. He's a really, 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 really smart guy. He uses the side of the brain that's like not even on for me, right? I'm completely on the artistic side of the brain. He's completely on the other side of the brain. And so he is completely anti-ring. Okay. He just wants to look at your accomplishments, stripping the ring away, right? Because there's all the perceptional stuff that comes along with the ring. And it's kind of like, it's fascinating. Ultimately, I don't like it because like we get fired up about the playoffs every year and like who's going to win the championship every year and parades and like ski goggles and champagne. Like we get fired up about that, but you're telling me that none of that matters. And that game 7 of the finals is just another game. That's kind of like, it's an odd premise, right? But maybe some of you like super nerdy, like statistician types are like, yes, this is making sense for me. Oh my God, this is brilliant. Like it's hard for me to get my arms around it. Okay. Because we're stripping the ring away. The ring is the thing. The ring is the sun that everything orbits around, but you are extracting the sun from the equation. What? Right? That's where I'm at with it. Okay. It's crazy to me. So I don't do that. The ring is huge for me. It's not going to cause me to, Karl Malone's career, John Stockton's career, Patrick Ewing's career, Reggie Miller's career, unbelievable. They're phenomenal. They're all-time greats. I love them all. Okay. I appreciate these guys. But when I'm ranking them, the fact that they don't have a ring is going to hurt them. And I'm not going to apologize about it. Okay. When Steph entered my top 10 all time with his 4th ring, I had to bounce somebody out. That somebody was Larry Bird. I hated bouncing Larry Bird out of my top 10. Hated it. But I'm not bouncing out Shaq. I'm not bouncing out Wilt. And I'm not bouncing out Bill Russell. I'm not. Someone had to go. Okay. And it was Bird. Why? Bird has 4. Pardon me. Bird has 3. Steph's got 4. Shaq's got 4. The ring. Ring count. Okay. That's how I do it. Stats are super important for my all-time rankings. But the ultimate differentiator, the ultimate trump card is ring count. That's why LeBron's not my GOAT. LeBron is a lot of people's GOAT, and that's cool. It's debatable. But he's got 4 rings. Jordan's got 6. Kareem's got 6. How can LeBron be the GOAT when he's -2 in ring count to both of those guys? When their stats are phenomenal, just like LeBron's. LeBron is the GOAT of counting stats over Jordan and over Kareem. I'll give him that, but it's not like by a landslide. But he is the GOAT of that category. But that's not going to trump -2 in ring count. It's not. And I've said for years, if LeBron gets his 5th ring and he's down 1 with better counting numbers and better longevity than those guys, I will give LeBron GOAT status at that point. He will then leapfrog Kareem and Jordan and be number 1. Okay? But he's got to win that 5th ring. And that's why everything is always so urgent for LeBron James. He knows he needs that 5th ring. He knows. He wouldn't admit it. He already thinks he's the GOAT. He already thinks he's the greatest of all time, and that's cool. But I think deep down, that's why would you put pressure on the organization? Why would you, all of these reports about, we got to get better, it's because LeBron still feels ring pressure. He does. And I like that. He should. He should still feel ring pressure. Kobe didn't feel ring pressure at the end of his career because the team sucked, right? It was the Kobe Bryant amusement park. That's what Staples was. It was the Kobe Bryant amusement park. Show up, watch Kobe play, score 40, and they're going to get beat by 15, and they're going to go 30-52 this year. That was the Laker Kobe experience at the end. He was an attraction. He was a tiger at the zoo. He was a lion at the zoo. That's what he was, okay? And so I'm glad it doesn't look like Steph Curry's going out that way. It was starting to look like he was going out that way. But you've made some moves. Now you're kind of still, competitive and all that kind of thing. Steph is not just an attraction out in Golden State. He is still, a viable player, trying to go on a long playoff run. But my time is over, folks. I really appreciate y'all. Again, go to sportsethos.com, subscribe to our work. Go to your favorite app store, download the Sports Ethos app. It's completely free. Please subscribe to the Sports Ethos YouTube channel. If you're watching us on Twitter, join us on YouTube for our live shows, okay? We'd really appreciate that. Let's see here. Andre, any other messages for the people here before we get out? No, just one last. Micic was the MVP in 2021, a couple years before making the move to the NBA. Told you he would have it. Mr. International Ball. I'm your boy, Kam. I really appreciate you guys. I will see you again in 2 weeks, okay? 2 weeks. What date is that? I guess that's 7/22. 14 days from now would be 7/22. And that will be 11 a.m. Eastern time. I'll put some stuff out on Twitter about it as well. But a little 2-week hiatus from the Sports Ethos NBA Show with Rick Kamla. And I'll see you a couple of weeks from now. Really appreciate y'all. Big thanks to Andre Lemouche for all that he does. Please retweet this on your timelines. Tell him all your boy Kam is rocking and rolling over here at Sports Ethos and loving life. And I love you all. Peace.